All right, people. Today, like every other day when we have amazing guests, we have somebody who is doing amazing things in the community. She's the CEO of Black SEN Mamas, which is an award-winning organization supporting black families navigating special educational needs and disabilities.
Come on.
She's a neurodiversity and intersectionality consultant, researcher, and advocate, centering the lived experiences of black neurodivergent women and children,
Come on.
and challenging the systemic inequalities they face across education, healthcare, and wider society.
Amazing.
As an autistic black woman herself, Marsha brings both lived experience and professional expertise to the conversation, working with major institutions, including UCL, to influence policy and push for more culturally informed, inclusive support systems.
Nice.
Her work sits right at the intersection of race and disability, making sure that the voices too often overlooked are not just heard, but understood. Everybody, please help me to welcome the amazing Marsha Martin.
Come on. Who are ya? Who are ya? Who are ya?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I had a bit of a traumatic night last night when a wasp got into my room. It was a lot. It was a real danger.
Did you say wasp?
It was a wasp.
I thought you said when I was put into my room and I was like,
No,
and everyone's reaction, I thought no.
No, it was. And then I made the decision to use one of the electric things.
Oh yeah.
And my husband was behind me saying, spray the ting.
Behind you.
He gave me deodorant.
Deodorant?
Put it in front of the thing.
I was
panicked. Exactly.
Oh my God.
Fire shot out of it. I mean, it killed the wasp. So
Well, definitely.
yeah, I stood there
Ready
in
to
a moment of silence. Like my kids are asleep in the room. They could have woken up to
Mayhem.
no longer having parents. And then, like, after a while, I hear, is the ting dead?
That's what I say. What do you husband say after that?
He was right. He was behind me.
Is the thing dead? Well, definitely.
That's hilarious.
You got my eyebrows too.
That was my night. So I was, mulling over that for a while. And then I had to wake up at 5 a.m. this morning.
That's you.
Well, big up
Thank God
you.
you had your sister. Gosh.
All right. So, there's so much to talk about. I think we should start with Black SEN Mamas. That's your organization.
Yes.
How did it come about? What is it about?
So Black SEN Mamas it's an advocacy organisation that supports black mothers of neurodivergent children. Our two main priorities are supporting mental health. So we have lots of one-to-one psychotherapy programs. We also have various mental health interventional supports. We have support groups. I know the stigma that therapy has in our community. So I was sure to invite the mums along to the support group, which is led by qualified psychotherapists. So effectively, it functions as group therapy, but it's just like, come along and talk about the stuff you go through, and hopefully they're reaping the benefits of that. The second part is we recognise the major impact on the mum's mental health was watching their children be failed in systems and deteriorate socially, emotionally, mentally. And so we had to come in with the special needs advocacy services, which are SEN lawyers and SEN advocates that go in and support the mums in the schools. The mums kind of just get to sit back and they don't have to fight this fight. They can just focus on nurturing their child and balancing, managing their needs and motherhood. Our team of specialists, which are SENCOs, which are like SEN coordinators, teachers, therapists, lawyers, social workers, so on and so forth. They are all Black SEN mamas themselves, and I was very meticulous about picking people that had a specific type of insight into the challenges faced by the community we support. And also I think there's an inherent distrust of external interventional supports, especially when the people supporting us don't look like us within the Black community, valid. And so I was like, no, we need to look like the people that we're helping as well. So that was kind of what made me make those decisions. And it's honestly, it's grown exponentially. We're supporting nearing now 8,000 Black SEN families.
Wow.
In the UK. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of issues do you usually come up that you're fighting
At school?
Yeah.
I'm homeschooling all my children now because it's so common, the things that we come up against, that most SEN parents are either educating their children at home or struggling with their child in a school setting. There are not many SEN parents, and that's not just within the Black community, but also the wider SEN community, that are happy about their child's placement in school. For us and what we deal with, and it's a little bit more nuanced because obviously we're, like I always talk about the intersection of race and disability. I cannot advocate for my child in much the same way that my peers can. That's number one. I have to be seen as non-intimidating. I can't be as passionate about the fact that you're failing my child. And I have to be seen to be really restorative in my approach. And even so, that doesn't matter. Because actually, if you fail to appeal to whichever individual teacher's sensibilities and they trust their implicit biases more, then you're still the aggressive, angry black mum, regardless of however you approach it. And so that's number one. In terms of the actual issues within the schooling, I mean, statistically, we already have empirical evidence, but also we feel it in the work that we do, we see it. Our children who are neurodivergent, they may be expressing unmet needs because the teacher's not supporting them adequately within the classroom setting. They may be expressing that, communicating that behaviourally. And statistically, we know that our children get labels of emotional and behavioural issues before anyone thinks to say that perhaps there might be something underpinning those behaviours. And that happens significantly more with black children. And so oftentimes they are being given harmful labels like they're disruptive, aggressive, lazy, whatever. And then the parent blaming starts to happen. And actually the issue is the interventional support within the school, the provision is inadequate, and the school are failing the child and the child is reacting. But we'll have things like parents, and it's happened to me plenty of times, saying, I don't think this provision is sufficient for my child. And they will threaten things like social workers. Well, we think you're doing stuff at home. And this is a go-to, by the way. And that's to get the parents to kind of back down and not basically. It's very systemic. It goes quite deep, and we're up against systems. We're not just saying, can you support our child to the teacher? There are systems in place
behind that as well.
to ensure that we don't get effectively what our children need, not just to thrive, even just to survive in that environment. So these harmful labels, they stick with our children throughout their schooling education, even later life. It impacts their overall outcome. And it means that they don't get support for their unsupported neurodivergence, undiagnosed neurodivergence. They just get sanctions and punitive measures. So yeah, that's what we're facing on a regular, constantly.
So if there was one thing that you could maybe input into the system in schooling to kind of nip certain things in the bud, the most effective thing, what would it be and when?
So there was a SEND inquiry at the beginning of 2025, and the government reached out to Black SEND mamas and they said, what do the blacks think, essentially? And so I was like, okay, let me go find out what the blacks think. And I gathered the mums in a series of focus groups, because I'm not going to speak on behalf of, there's thousands of mums in the community, right? So let's get together. And they're like, why have you got us here? You know this is a tick box exercise. I'm like, I know, but we need to show up. Everyone else is showing up. Those groups, they're showing up. We are the minority voice. We have to show up, because then they will tell us we didn't try, or we asked you and you didn't come to the consultation. So we did the thing. We created the report. The government published the report. And the report was essentially saying, for our community, we need cultural competence in terms of training, in terms of the culture of the actual schooling environment. There needs to be a massive cultural shift. And in terms of being able to identify need accurately, you need to have a certain understanding of the varied presentation of neurominorities or neurodivergence across different identities. Even to the point where they're recognizing that, as far as genders, boys get diagnosed and identified as having needs a lot more than girls do. But they'll recognize that. But when we say, actually, if you're a black girl, you are 10 times less likely to get an education, health and care plan, which is like a legally binding document that stipulates your child's provision, what they need, what their needs are, and what they're supposed to get. The local authority need to be on the school's back to implement that within the school settings. Doesn't usually happen. But that's all we have. That's like our holy grail. Like, you have to support my child. Otherwise, you have 8-year-olds walking around non-speaking in soiled nappies the whole day, and no one's changing him and no one's helping him, that kind of stuff. But if we have an education and healthcare plan, you at least say you need to change him twice a day or something like that, right? But stats show, and I had a look at this recently, but stats show there was a really data-heavy report done by Roman Aristarazu, and it said, like, for every 10 white boys that gets an EHCP, education, health and care plan, only one black girl gets it. And I speak about this all the time because masking in black girls is actually a madness. And I'll quickly go through this. Because of cultural transmission, as a black child, you know you can't. By the time you're at primary school, you know you can't just leave the house any kind of way. Like you have that voice that's been passed down to you. Like we're in a largely non-black space for your own benefit, for your safety. Historically, it was for your survival. You need to present yourself in a certain way. I couldn't go around in my area with a hood on. We moved to, when I was 16, my mum and I, we moved to Essex. And the mum was like, "You're going to get arrested." I'm like, "I've done nothing. I'm from Hackney, so I've not experienced racism at this
Come
point."
on, big up
So
Hackney.
I'm like, yeah. So I'm like,
Sorry.
I'm like, "What do you? I haven't done anything." I was like, "You don't understand." So I was never allowed to wear a hoodie because of other people's implicit biases. So I knew, and even when I got to the workplace when I was like 19, that was my first time working. I was in an office. I was the only black person there, and I had locks,
Oh.
and that was a whole thing. And they were sister locks, so it's like they were kempt. I don't really buy into that, but they were. And I'd have people pulling at my hair, not talking to me, not hello.
Just
Like,
touching you.
yeah, they really didn't like the fact that I got in a lot of trouble because I wasn't sociable. I didn't go to the pub with them after work. Like, I'd actually get pulled up for being cold and unapproachable. And what they othered me because I was a black person, but what they didn't recognize is the traits that they didn't like in me because they thought was because of my blackness was low-key because I'm autistic. I don't want to socialize with you. Your jokes are dry. I don't get them. I'm not going to laugh. I don't want to be around you. But I got in trouble for that because I was black. So again, there's that intersectionality where I can't, my vulnerabilities and my neurodivergence are never seen first. So, and our children have to go through that. But they're doing it against adults who don't have prior knowledge, they don't have training regarding that intersection, the different ways in which neurodivergence presents, and they're relying on implicit biases because, like all humans, they're exposed to social conditioning throughout life, and they're not doing the work to check those biases. They're not being reflective. So those biases go on. Like, I'm teaching your child now, and I've got this negative stereotype in my head. So they're relying on those implicit biases to inform what they perceive your child's behavior to be, and that's not a child screaming out for help. That's just a bad breed black child, and that's it. You know.
Can you, sorry, because you mentioned masking.
Oh yeah.
Can you speak to that and how it shows up?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I'm currently undertaking. Actually, I'm leading on research with the support of UCL, and it's my life's passion. I was like, they were like, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I need to look at masking in black girls and women," and they're like, "Yeah, let's do it." So that's what we're doing. And if you're neurodivergent, if you're autistic, and you want to speak on your experience, please get in touch and DM us. The Black SEN Mamas page is Black SEN Mamas _UK. I think it's across the screen. But please get in touch because we are recruiting participants still.
So is it just for adult participants?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't matter. I was going to try and maybe I'll circulate it at work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Also, as well, is it like people who have been diagnosed with autism?
So we're still in the beginning stages. For me, I'm like, if you identify, you should come along. But I don't know if UCL feel the same. So we're going to kind of hash that out. But I want as many people as possible. I'll send the interest form and I'll ask, do you identify or have you been diagnosed? And then we can kind of take it from there. So we're still undecided currently.
What's masking?
Yeah, masking. Thank you. So effectively, as humans, we have evolved to want to fit in and assimilate because for our survival, I guess, right? And we are social beings, so we live in large, complex social groupings. And the worst thing that can happen to humans is being socially shunned or, right? And so we do everything to kind of avoid that in general. There are the subsection of neurodivergent people who oftentimes are highly sensitive, receive a lot of aversive reactions and experience for their traits that are atypical in terms of behaviors and how they present. And that kind of conditions them to hide certain traits that are identifiers for their neurodivergence. So basically, anything to do with my autism, I'm hiding that in social spaces so that I can assimilate and be welcomed and not be socially excluded because I don't want that. I'm already different, right? And sometimes it's conscious and sometimes it's unconscious, especially if you're undiagnosed. There's a lot of masking that you do that you don't recognize until after you've had your diagnosis. And then you question, why do I do this? Why do I do that? Why do I relay whole conversations and go through it bit by bit and pick it apart? Because I'm trying to learn how to say socially acceptable stuff for the next conversation. That's masking, changing the way you speak, trying to mimic neurotypical people so that you can fit in this masking. Right down to like people like my daughter, my eldest daughter, she shakes her hands to regulate. It's called stimming, emotionally regulates herself. And for someone that's more socially aware, I guess, they may sit on their hands to stop that. It's just about quite literally hiding any aspect of your neurodivergence that's easily identifiable in order to fit in or in order to avoid persecution or embarrassment and stuff like that. So and I speak about the cultural transmission because it's really important, because the thing about masking is engaging in prolonged masking impacts mental health on a serious level. And you're looking at more frequent burnout, higher anxiety, higher periods of low mood or depression, higher suicide ideation. And so for Black children in general, we're coming up in this world that is largely non-Black. We're already taught to mask. We've been primed and conditioned to mask, hide parts of ourselves that may not be acceptable to the outside world. And so when you are growing up and you have these neurodivergent traits that are showing, and they also garner negative or aversive reactions, you have an affinity for masking. You've been told the way to get through this is to hide parts of yourself. So you start to hide the traits there, and you're not hiding them just at school, but also at home, because at home you can't be Black and neurodivergent. Like back in the day, like there's no excuses. You have to just do what you're told to do, or, you can't, it's a family party, you have to come. You can't hide yourself in the room, you got to come downstairs. You got to greet everyone. It's that kind of thing. So the masking is on multiple layers. And then also, because it impacts your mental health, and mental health was not something that we spoke about often in the Black community, we would mask that as well. So we're looking at various layers of masking. Just masking on one layer will mess up your mental health. And you're engaging in this daily. And that's your life.
It's deep as well, because it's like the level of autoimmune.
Yes, it impacts.
Well.
Yes, it mashes up your health. Absolutely.
Like crazy. I worked in pediatrics at one point when I was doing my training. And I would see like kids having epilepsy, like fits, non-epileptic seizures, because of traumatic stress and that the constant exposure to stress. And obviously they were coming from a different background, but that's the same thing. Like having to constantly do that is a traumatic stress to your body. It's deep. It's crazy.
And they wouldn't even diagnose that, right? So go on, Christy.
No, I'm saying that epilepsy's, there's a high rate of epilepsy linked to neurodivergent children, and some people don't make that connection because it may not come off when at birth. It only manifests like later on. So people don't make the connection that their child is neurodivergent, but then they've now realized they also have epilepsy as well, and it kind of develops, not that it comes at birth. So which is that parents who go through that, because that's very scary.
It's scary.
So what, can anybody develop neurodivergence?
So you have neurodivergence that occurs in life, but that more so speaks to like mental health, because neurodivergence basically just means that the way in which your cognitive function is varied. I mean, everyone has neurodiversity, but neurodivergence just means at a diagnosable level that your cognitive function is different. So yeah, you can get it in life. You not things like autism, not neurominorities like autism, not developmental disabilities. No.
Okay.
Not like that, because those are developmental that you develop. Yeah.
Is the diagnosis in like Black children? Is it? I'm assuming it's like later, or there's.
Yes. Yeah, it's what we have is late diagnosis, misdiagnosis, or just missed, as in altogether diagnosis. And I remember after COVID, it was so weird. Like, no, it's not weird. It's systemic. I had a whole load of mums calling me saying their sons had been sectioned, mental health, after COVID. But the thing about that was, all of them for years had been telling their schools, I think my son is neurodivergent. I think they need more support. I think my son. And so I don't know what happened, but when it got to COVID, it all kind of just got too overwhelming for them, I guess, not leaving the house. I don't know the change or whatever it was.
Change of routine, probably.
And then just the overarching looming, dread. You didn't know what was happening. So many men got sectioned, and the problem with that is they just feed them with all these drugs that don't actually address the underlying issue, which is unsupported neurodivergence. And that neurodivergence never gets diagnosed. They get diagnosed as schizophrenic or having BPD, or like same for Black girls, like, or girls in general. We get a lot of the mood disorders and the personality disorders, rather than actually this girl has struggled her entire life and that has now developed a mental health disorder as a result.
Do you find that it's like easier for some parents to accept certain things, certain diagnoses over, say, autism or ADHD, for example? Because I think I've seen it where I worked with a mother who was sure that her daughter had psychosis, and I was like, we can't just throw that around. And I said, I think we need to refer her for an autism assessment. And that was just so like she was just like, no, that can't happen. But psychosis felt easier for whatever reason. Like you finding that?
Yeah, I think that's just. I don't think that's necessarily limited to black parents in general. There will be like families oftentimes find certain diagnoses easier to speak about and accept than others. But within the black community, I think it's a bit more acute. I think more so because none of the diagnoses are acceptable, first of all.
First of all.
But it's very interesting that you say that, because I work on a project called Black Child Down Syndrome with 3 other co-founders. And it's like a visual arts project, and it was taken by, I don't know if you know Miss Ann Harriman. He's bald and he's black. He's a photographer. He's award winning, and he does lots of like social justice. Great, the black and white pictures. He did ours for the children. It was black children with Down syndrome, beautiful, stunning pictures. And we're actually
Was it in Trafalgar Square?
Yes, it was on. It was in Piccadilly, the
it's
big
like a
screen. Yeah. And we are having an exhibition in the London Archives from the 7th of April till the 30th. I should check those dates. So please come and see the pictures, like if you're around there, the images, and there's a few other things that we're doing. But so the other 3 mums who have their own organisations, they're all black mums with children who have Down syndrome. My children are autistic with ADHD. And we speak about this all the time, because I always say that if you're black and disabled, you're a minority within a minority. And one of the mums was like, but if you're black and disabled and the disability is Down syndrome, you're in a minority within a minority within a minority. And that in part is because it's visible and there's a massive stigma, and there is a tendency for families to hide those children, even if they have several children and only one of them has Down syndrome, they will showcase the others. And because she used to say to me, like, why is it that whenever you've got like a support group coming up, or you invite people to do stuff, they're all there, they all want to do it, they're all out and they're all loud. And at the schools, they're heavily advocating for their children. I was like, look, when you're autistic, the burden of proof is on you. You have to prove to the school that your child is drowning. And you have to do it every day, and you have to be loud and proud. That's number one. Number two, the black community, unfortunately, they can be very superficial as far as looks, right? And difference. And so for the Down syndrome community, they were receiving that judgment from early on, from the baby was born. They can't just sit, and I just, oh my God, one of the co-founders, Oneness Sankara, she's doing a play about her experience, and she did like a showing, and it was a small piece of it, and she spoke about like, which picture do I send when she gave birth? It's not like, I'm happy and like I can't wait to show people. It's like, which one is the least, like that kind of stuff. And I was like, I've never even thought of that. So this level of judgment is happening from early. I was bored. I had to leave the theatre. I was like, I can't do this. And yeah, it's like the level of judgment is just crazy. And I was like, for us, we've had to we didn't even know at first, and then we had to start proving. So that's why we're out and proud, and we're shouting about it. Also, autism takes up all, as far as like discourse, public discourse, autism's all over the place. Like everyone's talking about autism, like it's just here now. But with Down syndrome, we're still kind of delayed. Representation, we're only seeing, and this is why we did Black Child Down Syndrome, because we're only seeing white Down syndrome children. What happened was there was like one of the Down syndrome groups that we know, and she's great, but I think she lives in Bournemouth. She did like a whole photo shoot. This was why we started Black Child Down Syndrome. She did a photo shoot, and then it was on inclusion and diversity, but there were no there was only white children.
Of course.
And she meant inclusion and diversity as far as
Gender.
no, disability. You need to include us. So we were like, wagwan. Like, you're not gonna, and also we were gonna repeat it, but those kids, like with black children as well. But those kids were all in like Tudor and Victorian clothing. I was like,
oh my God,
it's a bit
crazy.
I ain't gonna do that.
Where can you imagine?
So I wonder if I don't know if you guys can find a picture, but yeah, we just we invited the families to a park, and we had a picnic, and it was just beautiful because all the kids were there. We had like stuff for the kids to play with, and one by one we'd kind of take them aside and just take pictures of the children interacting with their parents, and then with the children alone. And we did kind of we filmed the parents. There was another aspect of it when we first launched it in the gallery that we were at. we had a screen of the parents and their interviews speaking about their lived experience as parents of children with, Black children with Down syndrome, so that we kind of play them together. But it was really, really good, really insightful. But it did show the disparity within the Black disabled community as far as who's out and proud about. The pictures are amazing. Who's loud about it and who's not, and it speaks to that shame that we still kind of carry within our community, which is, we have to really get past that. It's big 2026. Like, come on. Some people are born different. That's it. That's it.
Did you say you've got your neurodivergent as well?
Yes, I'm autistic, and I'm pretty certain I have ADHD as well.
When did you get your
As an adult, what happened was, and this is the case for many of the mums, and I've encouraged so many people to just go and get diagnoses. You recognize your own neurodivergence through your child's neurodivergence. So constantly advocating for your child, because the whole sense system is like an adversarial environment. Like you're constantly fighting and trying to prove and tick. And you're slyly seeing, I went through that. Oh, yeah, no, that's me. And then also day to day, you're seeing your kid doing things that you do. And then it starts to click, and it's like, because most of the time you're in survival mode, fight mode. But there are moments where it kind of just like sinks in. Something's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is too familiar. And that's when you kind of like, okay, maybe, because it is genetic. So, and then I look at my mum and I'm like, how did I not know? Because you are the most autistic autist I've ever met.
I want to know, how does it manifest? Your mummy and then you.
Oh my gosh, this woman is rigid AF. Like, we're not allowed to change anything.
Come on.
Like,
Sounds like someone I know. Talk about, come on. Imagine.
Yeah, I'm homeschooling my children, but when I was first homeschooling my eldest daughter, we had a tutor, and it was a hot summer's day, and the tutor came in and her face was red. And my mum went up to her. She's like, "Why is your face so red?"
Oh my gosh.
And
Auntie, please.
she's very direct like that. She's always. All my friends were like, "We love your mum. She's so funny." These times, this woman was just speaking her mind. Like, she was trying to be funny. And so the woman was like, the tutor. She was like, "Oh, I have heart problems and breathing problems in the summer." And the mum was like, "Oh," and then she walked off. And the tutor, who's obviously a tutor for autistic kids, she goes, "Is your mum autistic?" I was like, "She definitely is."
But does your mum know now? Or?
I tell her all the time.
But she
says it's nonsense.
No.
She said, we didn't have
maybe it's just, it wasn't.
We didn't have autism in my day. You like, this is nonsense.
You guys are making things up. They think we know too much in this day and age. Too much knowledge is not a good thing.
No.
Sure.
Did I miss the traits? Did you say what the traits?
No, she doesn't.
No.
Oh, okay.
In autism in general, or in me, or
Both.
Her mum is just her mum being very direct.
Oh, really?
yeah. She's very direct. She's very rigid. We can't just change up things. Things have to be done in her way. I think there are a few more traits. I don't really want to put her on blast like that, because she still has a problem accepting it. For me, I'm highly sensitive. It's difficult for ADHD people, which ADHD is autism and ADHD, because sometimes it's difficult to know where one starts and it's a bit difficult because they are not the same but similar. And then also with ADHD, there are various types of ADHD, and some of you may be more inattentive, or you may be more spontaneous and hyperactive, and those levels change as well. So it's like a whole load of information that's just amalgamated within my head. So I don't know what's what. But for me, I'm very much highly sensitive. I definitely have rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is like people don't recognize this. I always talk about ADHD and the emotional turmoil that people with ADHD have, and it's like an emotional roller coaster. And it's so interesting when mums say to me, or they come to me and they know that their child's autistic and they have a high co-occurrence rate, and they say, "Oh, my kid's sad one moment and they're happy and then they're angry, and it's just so hard for me to keep up, I'm exhausted." I'm like, "Oh, you don't even know." Because that is like, of course that's the simplistic version, but ADHD is very much an emotional roller coaster for people. And rejection sensitivity dysphoria speaks to a very deep psychological pain at what you perceive to be rejection. And it's interesting because in Black girls, that might look like a girl that's constantly switching all the time, or can't keep friendships, things that we wouldn't associate with neurodivergence if we had no idea about them. But yeah, it just looks like people that really find it difficult to kind of take any criticism, because that's rejection. That's all rejection. So yeah, I definitely have that. I've had to, like, because of the work that I do, I have to just recognize what I'm dealing with here, and like, because someone doesn't want to come to your meeting doesn't mean that the world hates you. Like, that kind of stuff. And also, I'm dealing with vulnerable people that are going through trauma, so their needs will always obviously come before my sensitivities and sensibilities. So yeah, I am very rigid also, like my mum. I don't deal well with change, last minute things. I have massive executive dysfunction. Like, Ed sent me the questions. I was like, in order to help me prepare, I need questions, so that, because I can't speak on the spot. And this morning I was like, oh, let me look at them. But because I'm so overwhelmed, I'm actually in the middle of burnout and I'm just pushing through it. Like, nothing was going in. I couldn't process any of the questions, any of the words. So I didn't have a chance to prepare, unfortunately.
You're doing
really
amazing.
well.
What?
Great.
No, like, what?
Seriously.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You're doing
You're doing
amazing.
really, really well.
Yeah, and also I'm not good at talking. That's another thing.
Damn.
I'm really good at writing,
Wow.
but I'm not great at talking. I find it very difficult. What happens is the information is processed so fast that, I don't know, one side's doing it really fast and one side's really slow. So before it can get to my mouth, it's gone. Like, it's very difficult to, like, keep a train of thought.
Is that a symptom though, in terms of, like, because it sounds like a bit
Executive
of
dysfunction?
Yeah.
imposter syndrome.
No. This is not imposter syndrome. This is I cannot talk.
No, but you're actually talking, like, right
I have
now.
done this so many times.
Yeah.
Ask me to talk about another subject. Oh, okay.
So is it more about whether it's a spontaneous
That's
conversation
it.
versus you
That's
know
it.
this information you're retrieving,
Yeah.
like,
I can
from
retrieve
your,
it,
like,
yes.
long-term memory.
That's it. And this is the work I do, and I've done it for the past 5 years. So it's like, okay,
That must have
if I was not able to speak about it, it would be a problem after doing it for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a connection though with that, because
With imposter syndrome.
in terms of, like, because you have to do the. Oh,
Of
gosh.
course, because there's so much that goes on in neurodivergence that really kills your confidence, because you don't feel able to do things in the same way that your peers are. You cannot. It's a disability for a reason. Of course, it's going to make you feel like, I have massive imposter syndrome. I'm like, what? Like, I'm sitting in government's office and parliament every day. I'm like, why am I here? Number one, because I don't like those people. But number two, it's like, I'm looking at them like, all of us are dumb here. Like, all of us. None of us should be at this table.
That you bringing everyone else into
Yeah.
syndrome.
It's not just
It's
me. It's not just me.
But are you sorry?
Oh no.
Are you talking to, like, I guess how all of these things can end up interlinking, and then so your, like, history or your, like, default setting as, like, a woman with autism might make you more predisposed to then developing
Absolutely.
or being in the conditions that mean you develop something that someone would call imposter syndrome or anxiety or something like that. So it's like
Absolutely.
the baseline is influencing.
Like a self-fulfilling
Because
prophecy.
you start.
Yes.
Because
exactly.
here's the
That's
thing, you for a lot of us, especially those that went their whole lives undiagnosed, we're walking around with a lot of trauma, and not our self-worth or self-esteem, although that can be impacted, but the way in which we see ourselves has been heavily affected, and so we're starting from a position of deficit as far as we're concerned, and now we're in these spaces where there are amazing people potentially, and I'm starting from deficit. So yeah, the imposter syndrome is rife within the disabled community, of course.
When you talk about your sensitivities, do they include things like sound and light and
Yeah.
temperature and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Sound for sure. Light, absolutely. All my rooms have blackout curtains, and I don't open them. And I have that in my house, and we have, like, mood lighting on, and we don't put on the big lights. And it's great because everyone in my house is autistic with ADHD, and so I remember when I was growing up, and I used to have my bedroom, like, completely dark, and my mum. Every day she's like, why is it dark in here? Open the curtains, put on the light. You're like the devil. I'm like,
You just
I knew you were going to do that. I was waiting for him to do
no,
that.
fair. We like a man that listens.
But
Fair.
is that better though?
The pink
Fair.
hue is nice. Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
like, literally.
The other time he would have turned that brighter. Fair. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, this is called neuro-inclusive environments. That's
Well
what we
done,
like.
Come
very
on.
progressive.
Taking that neuro inclusive,
Yeah.
That's gonna be my new
Shut
one.
it.
Yes. Let's do that.
So yeah, she would come in. That was scarring. So now I live in a house. I can control these things. So I make sure
You know, your house, your
Yeah.
rules.
the whole house is black. Yeah.
Come on.
Melanin jam pack.
You know,
I'm learning things.
even with the curtains.
I'm learning things every day because my son's autistic.
You see.
Yeah. He's 10. He's going to be 11 in June. So I'm learning. I'm learning on the fly.
Yeah. That's how it
I'm
goes.
really learning on the fly. So every time there's something that comes up, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't connect that. Kind of thing. So even when you just mentioned rejection,
Sensitivity dysphoria.
today years old, and the way it manifests with him is that when he's playing games socially, he hates to lose. And you can associate that with just like being
No, that
kids
is
that don't want to
text-
lose.
Yeah.
No,
That
but
is textbook.
his level is on a higher level. Like you have to regulate his emotion because he takes it to heart.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Like he cannot lose. So it shows in social things like he does football or like I said, I mentioned that he plays chess. Those things, if like for instance he had a chess tournament in school. He didn't win. He won runner up. But he was so devastated that he did not win that thing, even though he got to the final. But trying to explain to him that you got to the final though, like you beat.
Exactly.
That was not, he was not like anytime you even ask him, like even just normal chess club, you can just be like, oh, how was chess club today? And then he will respond, I don't want to talk about it. I know he's lost the game.
Yeah, his nervous
I know he's
system is
lost
a
the
wreck.
game.
His nervous system is a wreck, and he can't regulate himself.
Yeah.
It's really important for parents of neurodivergent children to teach their children how to regulate if you can, or co-regulate with them and model it for them. Someone said something about, and I have to pick up on this. How do we support it? How are we funded? The beginning stage of the first few years, I was doing my consulting work and putting money back into the work that we do. So like the therapy programs, and that was a lot there's so many women, and I was going through a lot at the time. And I remember someone was like, well, do you get therapy for yourself? I was like, I can't even afford it. So I had to put the money back into it. And the reason why that happened is because the Charity Commission, which is a generations old institution, they were facing many court cases about this and they were losing them. They didn't like the fact that we had black in the name, Black Send Mamas, and I refused to change it. And I said, we're not exclusive. I said, we support all parents, but they have to know that we prioritize ensuring that we do things in a culturally sensitive way. And this is a safe space for parents. And that's because when I started, I went to a group in Essex and I was exposed to explicit racism. And I had to withdraw from my mental health. I had to leave because I didn't want to have to navigate ensuring that my child had a great quality of life as a disabled person in a non-receptive world. And also racism at the same time. Long thing. I had to leave. But then I was isolated for years and I had no one. My family, we don't speak about neurodivergence. Autism was almost a bad word in the house. And so I needed to find my tribe. And that's why I created the group on Instagram. And then it just grew exponentially because there is nothing like that and the support is needed. So I couldn't, because I told them like funding is due. We just need to be a charity, registered as a charity. And the people that were going to give me the funding initially, they were just going to give it to me. I said, no, I want to do things by the book. Let me get the bank account. Let me get the charity set up. And so the Charity Commission made me go through hoops to prove and get all the paperwork that I had funding due. And they still said, no, we still don't like the term black. That sounds too exclusive, right? I know. And I was advised by advisors, you can actually take them to court and win this. I was like, I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have energy. I've got 3 disabled children. I can't do this. But I'm keeping Black Sand Mama. So in the end, we had to register as a CIC, which was a lot easier. But it means that we're out of the running for so much funding off the bat. We have applied for funding and we have got some to help support us. We don't have any right now, but we did have a lot to help support us in the beginning. The problem is once they've ticked all right, we've supported this black group now, you can't go back for funding there. They've already supported a black group that year. Yeah, it is what it is. Like no one's trying to support, like I'm giving them the rationale, like the majority of the work we do is yeah, no, not even that. I mean, it is, but I was going to say suicide prevention. It's that deep. The mums need the support. We can't just cut the therapy programs. And they're like, yeah, no. So as far as supporting us, we do have a GoFundMe. I know we don't rely on the mums. Everything we offer is for free. I did that on purpose because I knew a massive access barrier was money. I knew that I lived to that, so I wasn't going to charge these mums. That's why I was doing the consulting. But it was not sustainable long term because it was taking time away from I have a 3-year-old. Back then she was, a lot younger. It was taking time away from my children. I had to start applying for funding. So we did eventually do the CIC. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, just to answer your question, I think it was talks with Tem.
Okay. We're going to get some questions in the chat in a bit. But I did want to ask you, have you ever come across certain situations, and even this might be a question for you as well, Dr. Amani, where you're dealing with certain people who are thinking, you know what, I think this person in my life is autistic. But when I talk to the family, all of them say, oh, it's my village people that are doing certain things. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? My enemies have done something. Like, how do you navigate that conversation and help them?
That was a massive thing. That was an eye-opening thing, actually, when we started doing the support group sessions and people like, my aunt was saying it was black magic, it was judge, it was voodoo, or like my uncle saying you just need to beat him more, that's why he's misbehaving, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, is this what's going on in the community? At church, we're saying we'll pray it away, that kind of stuff. I'm like so unapologetic in advocating for my child. I'm my children's only advocate. I'm their best advocate. So if I let you treat them anyhow, what does that say about me as a parent? I know it's hard and I remember it was Christmas and we do like lots of mental health check-ins before Christmas and we do things online so it's accessible as well. We have in-person support groups, but we want to ensure that everyone can access it. And we were doing a Christmas check-in because that's a really, like, you got to take your child around family. No one knows what that's like, taking a child with disabilities around not just the immediate family, but this is Christmas time family. It's long. It's really long. There's so much explaining you have to do. You don't get to sit down. You're like hovering, making sure that, they're not offending anyone or they're not doing the wrong thing or,
I can't lie, I'm like that at parties.
Horrible. Can't enjoy things. Because they haven't created a neuro-inclusive environment. That's why I say to the mums, it's not on your child, it's not on you. If they're your family and they want you there and they love you and they support you, you need to be able to call them and say, look, and it's really good to involve them in this. So, like, I really want to come. These are the kind of things that, what's your son? You don't want to say something. Little Zion needs. And can you help with this? And can you help with that? And put it like, you're the helper. Like, you're helping us create a great environment. And at some point we might need to leave early or we might need to go to the car for a bit of a break. And if he does this, then maybe do that instead. Like, call them ahead of time and plan these things. Because I really want to come. I don't know if I'll be able to come without them. Say it in your way. Obviously, don't say it like me. But that's how I do it now. I'm past that. I'm like, do this or I'm not coming. Kind of thing. But I don't really have to do that with my family. Do you know why? Because I'm like, do you know what it is? Because I see that these women have no one. They're so isolated. They got family. Oh yeah, we'll help with it. But in theory, but in practice, you're not there to support. She can't even go and take a bath properly. There's no one there to support, and I'm angered by it. So no one's gonna tell me, like, you want us there, you show me you want us there, or we're not coming. I don't have time to waste.
Without curiosity, what kind of adjustments would people make? Obviously, it would depend on the child.
It does. It's really important to make accommodations that are specifically for that child's individual needs, not just like, oh, do autistic children like clay? Here you go. Like, find out from the parent, what can I do? And to be honest, and I say this, as far as the wider black community, like, suicide prevention is a big deal. A lot of these mums are in crisis. We actually need your support as the wider, we need you. It's incumbent upon you. The onus is on you as the wider community who can shame, I'm looking in the wrong camera.
Village.
See,
She said PSA.
Because the thing is,
by the way.
oh, thank you. Do you know what? The deodorant from last night.
It's in your chest.
I was running fire.
Oh, it was fire though. That's insane. Yeah, of course it would do that.
It's still your husband behind you.
Is him saying, did you get it?
I handle all the insects in my house.
Big up you for protecting
I'm going through a lot. I'm going through a lot.
Come on.
I thought you changed.
So
I didn't get it when I'm not here.
I promise you. I will.
what was I saying?
PSA you're going to give people.
Yeah, we need your support. We need you to all be on board because we can't do, as much as Blacks and Mamas is a self-sufficient community, And we do, like, there's 7,800. There are so many amazing specialists, professionals. We got the lawyers, we got the social workers, we got everyone. The mums themselves, they're all specializing in something at some point. And so if someone's being made homeless, we have like a housing officer. So sorry.
Okay.
We have like a housing officer, we have a lawyer, we have all these people chiming in, and then mums in general that have navigated that system to say, what do you need? Can we write you a letter? Do you want us to come with you to the local authority? Like, it's genuine sisterhood, right? Because I always say to them, nobody might have us, but we have us. And I've never met anyone more formidable than a determined black woman. The power is insurmountable, and I just think, like, if anyone has us, I'm glad it's us that has us. But there's still mental health issues rife. And that's because we don't have our tribe. We historically and culturally, black women, we come from black people, we come from collectivist communities. We support each other. There's a social approach, right? Here we're in an individualistic society. It's a medical approach made by middle-class white men. You're the issue, how do we fix you? Not how do we fix society to make it more inclusive for every individual. And so we are struggling now, especially those that are the most vulnerable, which are the SEND families. We are struggling because we don't have our tribe, we don't have our village. No one's helping us raise the children, right? We're struggling, and we need the village. We need the village. We actually need you. And I'm dead serious. I'm so scared about, like, I've been so close to losing mums because they're isolated. And then I'm like, if that happens, their vulnerable children who are non-speaking are going into the system where predators, by the way, find jobs. So what's happening to them? Because we need you. So it's really important that we come together as a community and help those that are most vulnerable.
I love that you put in those boundaries as well, because you were asking, like, what do you say to the people that don't believe it?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, you can have that conversation, you can try and approach it and educate them. But in dire need, because sometimes you're in dire need and their rhetoric is actually harmful, boundaries.
That's it.
Absolutely, like.
And I do say that, save your mental health first, because no one's coming for you and your child. Save your mental health first.
Is there any data around how many black girls mask than black boys?
No, not specifically as far as masking. No, I'm the first to do research into masking specifically. Actually, no, there was one more before me, but it hasn't been a comparative look between boys and girls.
I can say, you know, that girls are. It takes longer to diagnose girls in general, even outside of being black, with autism than boys. And the theory is that naturally, for whatever reason.
No, not naturally.
That's what this is, the theory. I'm not saying it's correct. I'm just trying to answer the question. Is that women might just be a little bit more astute to being able to pick up on some social cues and then learn how to mask in a way, which could be, okay, they're saying naturally, it could also be social conditioning.
100%
most likely leaning, like, in terms of proportionally, I would lean more into a socialization model. But yeah, it just means that they might just pick up a little bit more on, okay, I'm meant to do this thing, so I'll do this. And then it tends to come out a little bit more when they get to secondary school, when social relationships get a bit more complex. It's no longer, oh, do you want to play? Yeah, okay, I'll be your friend.
Yes,
It's like there's more complex than it. There's romantic relationships involved now, and there's just a little bit more to it. Then you put in the fact that they're in an environment where it's not now you're in the same classroom all day. You now need to
need more
move
independence,
around and read this timetable that probably isn't really made for you and how your brain works. So all of that together can become really dysregulating, and that's when you can start to see a little bit more difficulties in girls.
Like, it's harder to mask it, basically.
It's harder because it's just so much now. Like how do I mask all of these things?
Gosh,
and that's why we get the late diagnosis. But that's absolutely correct. It's definitely social. We have values and ideals in this society that are placed upon young girls in terms of how they should present and how they should socialize. And those same ideals and values are not placed upon boys. Boys can be rambunctious and do whatever they want to do, or they can spend their whole time in their room playing their game, and nobody blinks twice about it. So because they're allowed to do these behaviors, it's easier to kind of see when there is variation, whereas girls aren't allowed to engage. Like, one of my friends was saying, I used to climb on trees. She's from Congo. I used to climb on trees. Trish Balusa from Big Brother. I used to climb on trees. She has ADHD, and I got told off, so I had to stop doing that. So even I can't even engage in the behaviours that will give you a clue as to what's going on with me.
You know what's interesting as well, because there's this idea, like this social model of disability, and that we disable people opposed to, or make their lives more impaired than it needs to be based on the environment. I was speaking to some friends who are from South Africa, and they moved here and they were like, your kids don't play outside? That's weird, right? And I found it interesting because like, okay, cool. Now say if we put a kid who's like had ADHD in those cultures where they're allowed to go outside, allowed to do those things, would they now be a problem? Like how are we making a child a problem when really maybe the environment is just not for them? So how do we adjust the environment in a way that is more conducive to just how they are? Okay, cool. They need to, like sometimes I work with schools and they're like really pushing against my ideas, and it's as simple as they need to get up and go outside for 10 minutes. Let them go outside for 10 minutes then.
I let them go to the toilet for crying out loud.
Like just let them go outside,
Boring.
do some jumping jacks in the corridor and come back.
Things,
But it's just the environment and our culture says no, you need to sit down for 6 hours straight or whatever it is and do your work.
I was talking to this guy. Well, it's not this guy, but he's really important in this industry. And he was talking about he went to Kenya to learn. And so with ADHD, it's not really just a lack of attention. It's more like an attention imbalance. So like hyper focus on things that you're interested in and just no focus for anything that is outside of that. And he was talking about like there was a point at which the children were just kind of sat still listening. Like, I don't know where, in some village, listening for like wildlife and like danger and stuff. And he was saying like, how key would it be for children that have things like ADHD and can hyperfocus to have that ability in a place like this where your life depends on it, like, because it's just so different. But then you see them in a classroom in the UK for like several hours at a time, and you act like they have a deficit because they can't do that. But there are things that they'd be completely adept at that you never could. Depending on that's that adage, you know, judging a fish's intelligence on how they can fly or something like that, rather than how they can swim. It's literally the same thing.
So are these? I was just gonna say, are these like, I guess, evolutionary behaviors that we picked up? Obviously, living in the modern world, being in different places now, it doesn't serve us.
Yeah, I mean, I can't confirm that, but I know I used to do therapy for a neurosurgeon's daughter. He's a head neurosurgeon at Great Ormond Street. And he was saying he believes that autism, and it's very off the wall, but actually a lot of people have said this, is like the next stage. Do you guys know how evolution works? Like gene fitness and like lots of, and okay.
No.
Conversation.
I think I've heard this before.
Yeah, so gene mutation is how we get variation, right? So like the blue eyes is a mutation. We didn't have that before. That's how we get variation within like genotype, phenotype, like how you present and how you are genetically. And so of course it extends to brain function, and like we're trying to level up as a species. And so it has to change. This happens via lots of mutations, and eventually breeding out the old version and keeping in the version that was able to survive, survival of the fittest. And so he was saying, like, effectively, it was our brains leveling up through various mutations to kind of but we're in a system now where, I don't know, evolution feels a bit obsolete. We've evolved so much, and technology and so things aren't going the way that they would do normally if we were in like a cave or something like that. We're not allowed to swear here, are we?
Yeah.
What?
No.
Oh, you've been trying not to.
You don't have to mask
literally,
sorry.
Yeah.
honestly,
You've been trying not to go. Let it rip.
that's like 50% of my expression that I haven't been able to do.
It's done exceptionally well.
Thank you. So yeah, he was saying like that's what he believes autism is. So,
But isn't there like this theory that autistic children are like the next stage evolution? I've heard that before.
yeah, that's what he was saying. Yeah.
And there's a name for them, like dream children or something like that. But we should be looking to them for the future.
There's a lot of benefit in looking to neurodivergent people in general. Like innovation is number one, but number two, like, and I don't really like this expression, but they talk about our children in the sense system as canaries, because you know, like when they used to go down in the mines, the canaries would die first and let you know when something's not right. And so they're letting you know the schooling system is not fit for purpose. It's not churning out people that thrive in this world and that can elevate in this world. It's churning out a bunch of workers that go through depression. And those that are the most sensitive, the neurodivergent, should let you know how a system should work. Whatever we're saying we need for us in terms of making everything more inclusion. You know, like the curbside effect, which is basically like all the adaptations that have been made in the world for disabled people that everyone benefits from. So that curb was for wheelchairs, and now people with buggies or suitcases. Like there's so many different adaptations. So it's about the idea that making the world on the whole more inclusive for everyone benefits everyone. I don't remember what I was saying.
That's neurodivergent people are X-Men.
Oh yeah.
Superheroes.
So doing things in a way that basically acknowledges what neurodivergent people want is should stand to benefit the whole world. So you were talking about looking to those children as kind of a guide for that's kind of like this. I don't even remember what I was saying. I'm so sorry. Guys, this is why I say. This is why I say.
I also said that. You were agreeing what she said, and the guy also said
did you understand what I was trying to say?
Absolutely.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I have a question. I know your organisation is focused on the mums, but what about the daddies? Like, what trends are you seeing in terms of like?
So what I'm seeing is it's so hard to get the dads to come to the table. I don't know, black men and trying to get them to express themselves. Like I used to think it was like a cliche or a stereotype, but actually it's really hard.
I'm trying to tell you.
It's really hard, and it's like, and then
it's a wrong time for you to insert.
All right,
tell you.
let's talk on a level here. We're talking about their genetic offspring that to them, because of I guess their own biases or stereotypes, is genetically not what they need it to be. And they internalize that as their failure. Very inaccurate, but that's how they feel. And so getting them to speak on that sometimes is just it's mad. And I remember I was working with a guy that did he was doing a Black Sen Fathers equivalent, because I wanted to do it, and I was telling him I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get the mums to bring their husbands. That was very hard. And what he said was, he said, be careful. He said, there's a lot of anger in these spaces. And I wanted him to head it, because I'm like, I can't speak on their experience. I'm not one for doing that. Like, I like to amplify voices. I don't like to speak on people's experience, and I need him to be there. He's like, if you are going to do it, you need to be careful, because there's a lot of anger in those spaces, and there's also a lot of anger towards the women. Well, what do we do? And that's just how the cookie crumbles. There is a lot of...
What was the anger? What was
the anger... Okay, so for neurodivergent families, the divorce rate and the split rate is a lot higher. And then there's so much that goes into this. There's the not being able to see the children as and when they want. And I did a series of videos. I do lots of filmed documentaries, mini documentaries with the mums to get them to speak on their experience. And one of them, I had a look at single Black Sen mums. And they were saying the same things, like, you're not around your child. Like, you don't know what they eat. You don't know what they do. You don't know what things they're scared of. They're non-speaking, and you just want me to drop them at your house because they're your seed. Like, I can't in good conscience do that to my child. You haven't been around for so long, or you only drop in every so often, and you're like, yeah, where's my child? Where's my son? But it's like, I can't just drop. I know I have to do things a certain way for my kid before bedtime in order for them to sleep. These are things you're not willing to do or know about. Oh, no, it's going to be fine. Don't worry. I'll just do it. No, I can't do that. And then that causes a lot of contention between them, because they're like, well, you're blocking me from seeing my child. Let me do things my way. That's my child. And she's like, but that's my child who I've birthed and looked after, and I've learned them, and I've learned what they need. And they don't speak, so they can't tell you and express when they're not okay. But I know when they're not okay, but you don't. And it's just a clash of that level of understanding that's needed from both of them. But that's number one. Number two is the blame game also. Who's the reason why the child is disabled. Number three is not understanding neurodivergence. Oh no, they're fine. They're just rude. They're just too rude. I'm saying it in this voice because yes, obviously this is what the men say. And we've heard it so many times. So it's like, this is very commonplace. Yeah. My mum said that you're just babying him too much. Bringing the parents in, like, so long. So there are many reasons why there's a lot of contention between the mums and the fathers when it comes to neurodivergent families, and there are lots of disagreements, and it just makes everything so difficult in terms of them being around each other and expressing feelings and emotions about this thing and talking on it in a space. There's a lot of anger.
Is your husband neurodivergent?
Yes.
He's not diagnosed.
But he's not been diagnosed.
He hasn't. The man is autistic with ADHD, like for real.
And he says he isn't, right?
He said he's not.
He's the most like if there was it's just so evident that eventually he had to accept, and then he's bringing me things like, oh, this is like me, this is my thing, I do.
Can you imagine?
So yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question. Yeah,
Yes.
do you feel like sometimes the opposite could occur? What I mean by that is this, where you're talking about certain labels being placed on kids and stuff. I remember Dr. Umar talking about how sometimes the school system in America will label kids maybe having ADHD and certain things at early times in their life, though. So maybe 4 or 5, but they're not allowing that kid to just be a kid. How does one be able to make that distinction between a kid being a kid and a kid that has a neurodivergent behavior, for example? Because I remember you saying earlier about when you was at work, people were seeing your blackness and not seeing your neurodivergence first. How do we assess and see your neurodivergence?
Yeah, my mum was very concerned about that when I was pushing to get my eldest diagnosed. I recognised my eldest. I was doing my first degree in psychology, and we were doing developmental disabilities, and I was like, I may be projecting, because when you do psychology, you start diagnosing people.
Everybody.
But I kept an eye on her milestones, and she was like not interested in making eye contact at all, to the point where she was 3 months, she was lifting her neck to avoid you. So I was like, yeah, something's not right here. And so I had been proactively trying from early to get a diagnosis, and my mum was heavily against it. I was a fight every time. Like, no, they're going to label her, she's going to be in the system. I'm like, I need her to be labelled so she can get the support that she needs. I was very clear on that. I did second guess myself a couple of times, but I'm like, no, she needs support. I need that support. She needs the label. We'll deal with everything else that comes with it, kind of thing. I was quite naive because I didn't know everything else that came with it, but I knew that I was going to be able to navigate it. And so for me, I would say individual differences. And this is difficult because it's like, this is not something that schools will employ. They don't care about the individual. But if you really want to support a child and not reduce them down to their disability, and again, it's the whole culture. Like, I mean, it's a cultural shift. Like, we should just be looking at people, who they are, what they need as far as support, and where their strengths are, and that should be it. Yeah. And so it's like, they get to be a child because you're not worried about them doing anything but being a child. But if they need support with something, they just need to ask, or you can just, give them support with that thing. But it doesn't have to be because they're this and they're that and they're this. It's just like, they need a bit of support. They find this thing challenging. It doesn't have to be because they're autistic or with ADHD. So really, I'm big on support being individualized.
I think it's like both as well. Like, the system, unfortunately, you need a label to get an EHCP plan. You actually don't, by the way.
No, you don't.
You actually
Legally.
don't. If the school try and tell you that's true, it's not true. You don't need a diagnosis to get an EHCP plan, but they will try and push that you do. But there is a truth that you need a lot of labels and confirmed diagnoses to get support, and that needs to change. But whilst that's happening, obviously supporting a young person to develop their identity in a way in which suits them is also important as well.
Yes.
Everyone would want to be labelled different. I meet people and they'll be like, I want to be called autistic. I'm an autistic person. Or someone be like, no, I'm just someone who has been diagnosed with autism. Yeah. Or they just ignore it altogether. And I'll do an assessment and diagnose a kid. And then I'll be like, you don't have to tell anyone if you don't want to. Okay, it will be on your school record, and maybe because you need HCP, etc., etc. But you now don't need to go around and telling all your friends if that's not what you want to do. But if you do want to, you can also do that. If you want to, that in itself is a thing as well. How do you give the child some ownership over this as well? Because more time, you're bringing a young person, an adult has said you've got a problem, a teacher, parent, whoever, and now you're being brought to an adult to tell you have this problem. Where's your say in this? So how do you start to have a conversation with your child about how they own this and what this means to them, and how they can develop the skills to support themselves as well? Because eventually they will have to, like the same way we all need to do it. But maybe it just takes some extra thinking about and care, you know?
Agreed. And can I just speak to that? Number one, I also agree that Sorry, I had to just check my elbow was covered. It was a bit dry. I don't feel like diagnosis should be the gateway to support. I feel like that should come afterwards. If you see a child has needs, just support them. That's number one. But number two, you were speaking about people saying this, you've got a problem, you've got a problem. Like in my household, autism and ADHD and neurodivergence in general is celebrated. Like it's a very neuro-affirming, neuro-inclusive, neuro-progressive space. We talk about it in a jokes way. We cuss each other. Like it's normalized. I've been very, very diligent about ensuring that this isn't a bad word in our house. Because what I don't want is for my child to think that my diagnosis is something that hinders me in life. It's not actually. It just means that I recognize how better to support myself throughout life. Yeah.
Can you speak to, because the government has implemented that four-step plan, and which it's already a problem. Just in terms of now it's actually going to be phased in. Is it not 2027? It's going to be phased
29
in.
if they're still in power, which they may not be. But the laws have not changed. The laws are absolutely still the same. So for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, SEND reform. The SEND system has been in a shambles, and like I said, back in the beginning of 2025, we did, everyone, parents, organisations, charities, teachers, put in evidence, submitted evidence for the SEND inquiry and said, these are the things we need. The government completely ignored all of that and said, actually, you guys are costing too much money. We're just going to take stuff away. And I say that because quite literally, when the parents that are fighting for support for their children are forced to then go to tribunal because the school don't want to give the support that the children are legally entitled to, by the way, 99% of those cases are lost by the school, by the local authority. So effectively, 99% of the time, the local authority is carrying out unlawful practices in ensuring your child doesn't get support. And when they take these families to court, they spend hundreds of thousands in getting lawyers in getting specialists in to prove that child doesn't need help to go to the toilet. And they lose all of that money. And so what they're saying is the local authorities like, yeah, these SEND families are costing us too much money, cut that. Cut that
you
dead.
stop doing what you're doing and you can give the money.
Do you know what I mean?
Because if you supported them from the beginning, you would not have lost all that money.
Yeah.
The whole thing feels illegal to me. I'm like, am I going insane? How you're saying that we're winning too many cases, which means that our children should be getting the support, so you're just dead in the whole thing. How is this okay? But that looks like, again, in reality, children walking in the hallways without one-to-one support, without the things that they need, not being able to express themselves. And they're trying to put SEND children into mainstream schools as well. And they're calling it inclusion, but they're not putting the tools of inclusion in. There's nothing to support that inclusion. So they're just like, it's just like feeding them to the wolves, not to describe other children as wolves, but that's how it feels to SEND parents. And I established something called the Black SEND Mamas Politics and Parliament Steering Group. And that was aimed at effectively ensuring that language that politicians so readily use very deliberately is extremely inaccessible to the layperson, the average SEND parent. And so I've got like the big names in SEND, like IPSI, Special Needs Jungle, other charities that support with SEND, especially as far as training in SEND law. I get them in to do workshops for the mums. And then I tell the mums we need to have a seat at this table, so you guys need to be a part of this. And so many showed up in droves. And ITV actually filmed us; they documented us for a segment, and BBC. And we have the Politics and Parliament Steering Group. And what I say to the people that are heading it, I'm like, break everything down. I need a 5-year-old to understand this, because they're using language that goes over our heads, is not relatable, and anything that the wider SEND majority, that's white people, are scared of, and they are scared, they are shouting about it. We as a black community, we need to be terrified, because we are impacted the worst. And that language is going over our heads, so they don't understand the implications of what this is going to look like, these new changes that they're putting in place for our children day to day. So you need to break it all down. So they understand, so they can then join me and we can mobilize and organize for this fight ahead of us, because it is a fight. We're fighting for our children's rights. Because they're taking them, they're infringing upon them, and they're saying, and not only that, the tribunal that we kept winning at, they're getting rid of that as well. And we have nothing.
That's crazy.
I want to ask you something from a more economics perspective, because I was listening to a conversation on LBC maybe 2 days ago, and a woman called up. She's got kids, I think 2 kids, that are autistic. And what she's saying is there's too many people now. Well, essentially, she was responding to this article, which is 1 in 8 parents now report their child is disabled.
Okay.
Right? So there's more people that's being classified as disabled, right? And she's basically saying some of these people don't need the support that they're acting like they need. Again, she's a mother who's got autistic kids. She also tries to refer to a time when she was younger and things were different. And she says, to me, people should only get support if they're classically autistic. Don't know what that means exactly. Or got Asperger's or something else, But everybody else who is autistic, they're on the spectrum, that can function, that can do all sorts of stuff in life. Why are we why are they getting all the support? Because when they have the same label as my child, the money gets diluted. There's not enough to go around.
So is that child a classic or?
I think so, yeah. Like non-verbal and like it's one of the severe ones, I guess. Excuse my language, but you know what I'm saying.
So she was a head child. So if you're not on the level of like that seriousness, it's not serious basically. Like
exactly.
you're
And I think 2 callers before her, another woman called up. She's got 3 kids who are autistic, and she said, "I'm autistic myself, but I've opted to out of order support because I know I don't need it. I can work, I can do certain things. Yes, I'm autistic, but I can function. So there's not a lot of people, I guess, maybe that are making those decisions like her, but there are people who she feels are getting support that shouldn't necessarily get as much support or shouldn't be prioritized because people who have more serious conditions are getting overlooked.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
I feel that too many people are entirely too comfortable with being ignorant and chatting shit because she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. First of all, talk to your government if you really, because they got money to spend on wars, first of all. And you're talking about taking away from the most vulnerable society. The thing about it is, as far as the, and I know there's this whole, I think it is Unifrith, who spoke about the diagnosis being broad and everything. The actual neurominorities are broad. The actual traits are broad. They exist on a broad spectrum. We don't like the word spectrum anymore. But there are varying levels of need, and they all exist, and they're all as significant as each other, even if it doesn't present that way. And there are a lot of people that mask need. So to you, it might not be evident. And for my daughter, who is more obviously seemingly in need of support, versus my daughter that is able to speak and express herself, she's doing a heavy amount of masking. Inside, she's absolutely crumbling. The level of need is, they're both significant. They both matter. And it isn't for people who are lay or not experts in this, or even some of the experts in this who don't have the deeper level of understanding to speak to and blame parents wanting to support their children through this. When you have a whole government there sending planes over to another country for a war that has nothing to do with us, like, where's your mind at? You really have to take that into consideration.
I guess from her perspective, she would say, like, there's always going to be money allocated for wars. That's something we cannot change. There's a certain amount of money that's for, I guess, disabilities and wealth and things of that nature. And as a parent who's got 2 kids who are, I don't know if it's right to say severely autistic. Is that correct? No?
Just autistic. They have significant need support levels.
Yeah, exactly. For somebody like that who's feeling on a day-to-day, she's thinking, if you're saying everyone's autistic, not everyone, but like so many more people are autistic because they're showing certain traits, like people like her can't get the support. So yes, ideally we should campaign to the government to stop wasting money on nonsense.
That's it.
But that's not going to change from her perspective. That's not going to change. But right now we need something at home. Do you know what I'm saying? So why are we giving the same amount of money to this particular person or that person if the need is not there like mine is?
But she doesn't know what the needs actually are. She's assuming, right? That's the thing. It's just like if people have, it's just like having like a visible or non-visible like disability. Do you know what I mean? You can't see. It's like when you go on the tube, and it's just like I sit in that first seat. Not now though, because people would piss me. But if you sit in the first seat because I have a bad back, right? Do you know what I mean? I don't look like I have a bad back, right? Kind of thing. So someone might look at me thinking you shouldn't sit there, and because I've got a back problem and I use a stick, that you shouldn't have that privilege that I should have because you can't see it in me. that kind of thing. I think that's out of all, like, it's just like fear mongering. It's just like, oh, there's not enough and it needs to come to me. That is
Exactly.
It's just the thing. It's just
And that's
like,
what I'm saying. It's really pitting just the people within the disabled community against each other.
Yeah.
And please understand that's a governmental tactic. And why haven't you cottoned onto this by now? Big 2026. Like, you should understand. And you keep saying, oh, it's not going to change. It has to change. If it doesn't change, you don't meet us at our door as disabled people and blame us. It doesn't work like that.
And
Our children will still have levels of need regardless of whether or not the government's squandering the money on other things. So if my child has needs, as a parent, I'm going to advocate for their needs being supported. Just because you don't see the necessity, that's not going to change what I'm doing.
It's funny to me because for me personally, when I see the thresholds the application form, the process, I can't lie. Trans moment, I've opted out.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. What they actually are asking for, I said I don't have the capacity. And people, when people find out that my son's autistic and stuff, because personally I don't really readily share that personally, because I just feel like the amount of labour and work I have to do to explain to people is long, so I don't readily say that, and people just, the awareness, they don't understand. It's long.
You should come to our support groups.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually should. And so they'll be like, oh, you can get this, you can get this, your son should be, da-da-da. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know this or whatever. And because I've functioned as a tax-paying citizen for the longest while, I've never even looked into. I've never needed it. I've never needed it. So when there's like, oh, you need to thingy, and I think I finally looked into it, not recently actually, because I went through something personally in my life. So I thought, okay, let me look into it. I kid you not, I said I'm not doing this. I literally tapped out. I said I'm not doing this because they was asking for you to go to the school. You need to get the school on board. The school need to write a report. The school need to do this. The school you need to get your all of this. I was thinking just to get some, and I'm sorry, it's crumbs. Personally, it's not even. I don't even think what they were offering was even that much. And I was like, for me the juice was not worth the squeeze. I was like, for me to go through all of this just to get a little extra, I thought I can't do this. I tapped out.
Doesn't it speak to as well that the thresholds needs to come down in a way, and that some of the things that you're fighting for are probably basic changes that could just be enforced at a primary level that could help everyone. Going back to your thing, like, if it could just help everybody, then maybe you wouldn't have people fighting because they're pitting us against each other to get these things that should just be a basic level of care and preventative, opposed to reactive.
And this is another issue so the SEND reform looks like this. They're tightening the thresholds. So what they initially would have included as needing support, they're tightening that completely. And when I did the Black SEND Mamas Politics and Parliament Steering Group, it caused such a stir that the Minister for School Standards, Georgia Gould, who's overseeing this whole SEND reform, she called me into her office and we sat down and we spoke. And effectively, I was like, look, these are the things that you need to do. This is what you need to change. And she was like, we want to work with Black SEND Mamas so that we can do policy change that is culturally competent, whatever. And I said to her, you guys are failing. The statutory system is failing to identify need already as it is. Yeah. What makes you think that tightening the threshold would be the thing to address that? Why would you do this when you're already failing to see who needs support? You're making it even more difficult to get support. They should be widening the threshold for support. They should be putting more money into it. This shouldn't be a thing whereby parents are being blamed because they want their child to thrive in school or at least be able to survive in the school environment. Because that's what we're looking at. It's not even, no one's even, look, this fight for the EHCP is, they make you go through so many hoops. It's ridiculous because ultimately what we get in terms of provision is so basic. It doesn't even, when you get that EHCP, it's such a letdown because it doesn't even support your child effectively, but it's all we have. So we have to fight for it. And you're making us go through hoops, and now you're tightening the threshold. You should be putting money into it, opening up the threshold, not pitting parents against each other.
how is it that the threshold's been tightened, yet more and more people are being classified as disabled? Like,
So exactly. So these changes that they're making, as far as threshold, this is about being identified for needing support within school, and those are coming in for 29, 2030, 2020, yeah. You know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, and obviously the disability is more readily diagnosed. That's the problem. It's not going to work. In 2030, I'm sure that diagnostic rates will probably increase even more. So,
what's causing this though? Like, I know it may be a tough question to ask you, but like, what's causing like these things to occur? Where it's like so many more people are being classified as disabled, and that's just the reality
I think
now.
just better, wider understanding of disability and how it presents and the variation of presentation, and it becoming more publicly accessible in terms of information and knowledge, and spoken about on a broader level. I think it means it helps for people identifying it within themselves and then approaching, to go on a diagnostic pathway. So you've got more people there to diagnose, and then also as far as the diagnosticians or the professionals diagnosing, they'll have a better understanding of it. It's so interesting because we have this thing in Black STEM Mamas where we don't want to go to just your standard non-black, non-woman doctor to diagnose us, because they are looking specifically at the DSM, the diagnostics manual in a very rigid way. And if the further you are away from a white autistic boy, the less likely you are to get that acknowledgement that you have some sort of disability.
Yeah.
So we go to people that speak about understanding intersection, understanding gender, and the different ways in which it presents, because we know that now we are thankful that people are starting to recognize that autism looks different in different people. So that acknowledgement in itself is bound to grow increase the level of diagnosis that happens as well.
What do you think about you see, like on TikTok and social media, when people are just like, oh, I'm a little bit autistic, or I'm a little bit, what did they say, like ACD?
Yeah,
or
they just, I can't stand it. I can't lie to you.
What do you think of that?
I can't stand it.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not autistic, so it's just a phrase, just a turn of phrase. Like I don't think they believe that. Another one of my traits, God, I really forgot what I was going to say. This is where the ADHD kicks in, by the way. Yeah. So I don't think that they are meaning that. I don't know. Are they meaning it?
No, I think, okay, cool.
Is it not just a phrase?
It can be. So I think there's a raise in awareness of clinical language, therapy language, which can be useful for people to understand their experience. However, I think what it's become is like a quick turn of phrase, and it's the first thing that comes to your mind. And I think when you think about social media, there's no room for nuance because you have to make short form content. So you're going to say the quickest thing that comes to your mind, and that is going to register with people. And then, so part of it could be that. Part of it could be people's expressions of their difficulties that doesn't really meet a clinical threshold. However, this is the quickest way for me to explain it and for it to have meaning towards people.
That's what I interpret it as, and I understand why people might get offensive because it kind of almost dilutes, and also is part of the cause of why people are so angry and talking about the widening of the, it adds to this narrative which is really not a thing, but when they see it all over social media and everyone's a bit of this and a bit of that, that kind of intensifies and exacerbates it. But I've never thought they've meant it. I interpret it exactly as how you said it, like it's just a social media thing. It's not them saying, I feel like I am a bit autistic for real.
But I guess the danger comes in when then people are watching it and then they resonate with them. Like, oh, that must be me too. And then they go over and again.
That part's irresponsible. Yeah, I have thought that in the past. Like when I've seen someone say that in a way that wasn't clearly them just saying something flippantly, I was like, well, this is a bit irresponsible. So I can understand why people aren't okay with that.
So I just wanted to speak to you because I feel like there's an elephant in the room and in the chat. So especially tied back to Iman's question. But I think there are a lot of people that think the rise in it is due to linked causes to certain things. There's whys.
Oh,
That's-
yeah. Okay.
That's
Is that what
what-
you were getting at?
What you mean, like what vaccination stuff? Oh,
If you want to put a
But
name on
he
it.
used Dr. Uma as a reference. I didn't think it was serious.
No,
We-
I mean, obviously, vaccinations have been vaccinations definitely have conversations been around about it as to the link. Some obviously they said it's not. They said that's not been proven. But there's been definitely the rise in autism or just or certain disabilities,
right.
certain disabilities. So I don't know if you want to speak to that. I feel like that's what
Does that
more so
come up
people.
with the
No,
women
we
that-
have. Listen, I say to them recently, because obviously we've got the politics and parliament steering group. But I was like, we don't talk about religion, we don't talk about politics, and we don't talk about vaccination.
Right.
Because that it's such a harmonious group, and we have to uphold the integrity of the space because we all need each other. Otherwise, it's a very isolated journey. But I'm like, these are the things that people are going to disagree on, and we don't need that. Like, we disagree, that's it. But let's focus on the things that kind of unite us. So that's kind of the rule that we have, and everyone observes
like
Where
that.
do you have that conversation then? Like, I respect that position for the group, but where do you have the conversation about the vaccination? Because it is such a big
for sure.
conversation. in our
You
community.
have it in a next group because the thing about Blacks and Mamas is it's so important that exists for healing as a healing space. I don't ever want it to be a drain on the mums. I know where their mental health is at, right? And there are very important and serious conversations where I'm like, guys, remember the significance of this space. We all want it, because otherwise you get a whole load of fallout and people arguing over things that they're never going to agree on, and then that causes chasms and issues. And right now, this is the best version of sisterhood that I've seen. There's no drama, there's no arguments, there's no disagreements, there's nothing like that that's causing contention. And even if there is minor disagreements, it literally is just a case of talking it through. But when it comes to things that your children are tied to, okay, for Black women as well, you have to be so careful about navigating these conversations. And I'm like, you know what, you can have these conversations in other spaces, not this one that is dedicated to healing and sisterhood.
I agree. That one, because why would you have that there? Because let's say it was the case.
What's
I'm
the
really not saying it
purpose?
is the
Yeah.
case, guys. Don't please come from my
Don't
professional
do
title
this.
at all. Please don't do that. I'm not saying. But let's say that was the case and that was the reason. We're here now. What are these mothers gonna do?
exactly.
So I understand, like, that space wouldn't be for it. Where can that discussion happen? I don't know, within academia, with people who want to, like,
There are so many other groups.
there's so many different spaces where that can happen. I would agree that it wouldn't happen there. And I think to add on to the thing about the rise in knowledge or whatever, I think there's also something to be said about the rise in the complexity of what I was seeing as well. A lot of people aren't just coming with just an autism diagnosis. They're getting multiple diagnoses on top of this. Anxiety, personality disorder, schizophrenia, etc., etc. There's a complexity there that actually, from research, I will speak on this from research, is that our society is sick. We have a sick society. And what I mean by that, it's not conducive for the human condition, right? So if someone, again, going back to the whole thing about baseline, has a difference that isn't sort of welcomed within society, and then we have a society that perpetuates individualism and anxiety and stress and trauma, they're going to be even more likely to have these things, right? Which means that their presentation, the thing that we see, is going to be more complex, which means what's going to happen? The people are going to struggle more and they're going to shout for help even more. Whereas if we had a society that welcomed this neurodivergence as a part of, like, just humans, right? And had a system in place which welcomed that and changed things, like you were just talking about the drop curve, etc., that helps everyone, possibly you wouldn't see the level of complexity we're seeing, which then less people are then asking for help because the standard is that we're supporting these people.
Yeah.
And I think it's techie for me. Actually quite triggering, to be honest, because I definitely went through a phase where I was like blaming myself that I gave him vaccinations. Like,
Bless you.
Serious?
yeah,
Bless you.
Yeah.
I went through a whole phase of that.
Yeah.
Can I just say also, for context, my daughter was not vaccinated initially. It's so funny.
There you go.
One of the midwives was one of the nurses that I saw at her health visit was a old black woman. I think she was West African, and she said, "Hold off on the vaccinations for a bit." So, and like when a black woman tells me to do something, especially like an auntie, I was like, okay. So I did that, and actually, I'm glad that I did, because I probably would have been in the same position as you if I had, and then autism developed. But I think, higher power, I'm like, this is important that I had this experience to show that it isn't necessarily what you think it is. I also make myself available for any of the mums that want to come directly to me and have this conversation rather than within the group space. So they can still discuss it. If you want a group discussion, that's another group. But if you really want to get something off your chest, talk to me.
Absolutely.
It's tough conversations, man. But obviously they need to be had, innit? You want to say that?
No.
Oh, I thought you was going to say something. Okay, so what would you say, because we have to wrap up, unfortunately, soon. What would you say to everyone in the chat, everyone that's listening, should be 3 main takeaways from your from this conversation?
I think the wider non-SEND community should be looking to support those that are the most vulnerable in general. And when I say most vulnerable, I mean like people that have mental health issues, homeless, disability. Like that should just be a thing in general, a whole cultural shift, social approach to supporting people, right? That's really important for me. But also, as with regards to the work that I do, I need to see more of our mums being supported, because that's their mental health is failing because of the lack of support, because of feeling excluded from the wider Black community. Make spaces neuro-affirming and neuro-inclusive for them. The next thing is have patience for people that are going through a lot of stuff. Again, speaking to the mental health of the mums, they get held to standards that other mums don't, because they are Black women, because they are Black mums, and because they are Black mums of neurodivergent children. There's a lot that is expected and asked of us, and when we don't live up to it, we're often chastised. And I say that speaking for example, with regards to the way I parent. The way I parent is going to be very different to a non-neurodivergent mama. I have to do things that center my children's nervous system, and I have to do things in a way that is holistically healing to them. And I'm not shouting at my kids when I can avoid it. I'm not beating them. And so, like, for the aunts and uncles that give that kind of information, just keep it. Really, just keep it. And then the last thing is, so for fighting for our children's rights, I'm a co-campaigner for a larger band of organisations called the Save Our Children's Rights, and it's all the large charities that are trying to fight the government. The Senate consultation is happening currently, and it finishes on the 18th of May. And this is a time in which you need to respond to all the issues in SEND, in the SEND reform, in the white paper that they released, and speak to what you need to be done and that you're not happy about what's in the paper. And we have loads of templates. And if you come over to Black SEND Mamas or IPSEA, which is IPSEA, or Special Needs Jungle, or the Save Our Children's Rights page, SOCR, you will find all those templates to send to the government, and then ask 5 people in your immediate network to also send off the templates to your MP. We need support on that. We're a minority, and we actually need non-SEND families to support us. There's this whole narrative that also is very deliberate that the government's been spinning about disabled people on the whole being scroungers and taking the money of the rest of society and all of that stuff. They did that on purpose, and actually it means that we can't fall back on you guys for support because you hate us. We need you guys, and we need you to make this your problem. I know you may not even know SEND children, but actually a push to make schooling or just society in general more inclusive, as I've said, is beneficial to everyone, all children. Like, we should all be trying to. So please, if you can respond, send a letter to your MP before the 18th of May saying that you're not okay with the changes made. And if you need any information about the changes, if you need anyone to break it down, it's all on those pages: IPSEA, Special Needs Jungle, SEND RA, Black SEND Mamas. Like, just reach out and we will help you. If you need help with the template, we will help you.
Sorry, can I just ask something
Yes.
trivial? I brought up the saying time blindness recently,
Go.
and it caused a lot of chatter in the chat.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to maybe you could
Do you know
briefly
what's,
speak
do
on
you
it.
know what's so mad? I was on I don't know if you know the Two Somali Girls Entry Level Mums podcast.
Yes.
And then yesterday I was on Milk and Mummy's podcast, and we were speaking about literally that. Nasra from Entry Level Mums she has ADHD, and we were speaking about our time blindness. It's a real thing, please guys, please. Like, our brains just don't do it. Like, the concept of time, like, it doesn't compute. It's not just general tardiness. Like, I will be sat waiting to get the right time to leave the house. And then I don't know what's going on, but next thing you know, I'm late. So it's not as though effort isn't put forth, but it's a genuine executive dysfunction that exists in a lot of neurodivergent people. And please have grace and mercy on us, because we're really trying, and we're very embarrassed all the time, and we're trying.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better. Every single morning, I try my best. And we're
Are you trying to say you have time?
Bye
Like,
bye. No.
Sir,
long time.
please.
Well, I can't remember what the
you're Agbaya. That's what
That's what
you're
you here when I brought it up.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was when
Tickets
it was me and
presented
Brent,
again.
Yeah.
and they were talking about an ex or whatever, that she's habitually late for stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, maybe she has time blindness. And the chat, like, there was like, what? And Brent was,
That's not a thing.
yeah, it was caused a lot of thingy. To be honest, and I said it in the chat, I didn't realize that was a thing, because I noticed I was getting frustrated with my son about things like getting ready to leave the house was an ordeal. Like, it took so much time because it was such repetitive. And I'm just like, am I going crazy? Is it like, but it was like a constant day thing.
Is your son just autistic?
He's just been diagnosed with autism. He hasn't been diagnosed with anything.
What about you?
I haven't been diagnosed, but I know.
Brent.
Sorry.
What?
I was just reading the chat.
there you were.
Reading the
Don't
chat.
make us ask what comment.
Yeah, but I believe I'm not. I'll
Question.
Can I say-
leave it there.
Sorry, go
Well, I
on.
was going to say, you know, with the time blindness, and similarly to when you were talking about the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, because these things, I think we can all experience at a certain level.
Yeah,
When
all
people talk
humans
about it,
do.
they're like, what are you talking about? I have
Yeah.
that as well. But like,
Can I?
you have to realize that these things, like, it's when it becomes like a clinical threshold, like when it's
Yeah.
affecting your life to a
Yeah,
degree.
that's it.
Believe me, people know.
That's
I
it.
was
You
seeing,
might feel a bit sorry.
I see in
Go
the
on.
comments, oh, this is human. This is all humans. Yeah, because we all have human experiences. Everything, all the traits that we have are human experiences. They're just they happen frequently enough to be at a diagnosable level. That's it. Like, that's it. But you will still go through the things that we go through. We just go through it at a different frequency and in a different intensity.
Literally. We all stim. We all do all of those things.
Everyone
Everyone
stims. You
stims.
see, like when you tap your foot like that,
You're
or like
stimming.
this, or like you tap your foot, that's stimming.
Yeah.
That is emotionally regulating or regulating your nervous system through movement. That's it.
Just like yours is like to the
Like
point where
like
it's
for my
thing.
daughter, she flaps her hands and stuff like that, or she makes vocal expressions over and over again. That's all within the range of stimming. Yeah.
Is that what you were doing when you mashed my pillow?
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I knew you were
you were going to
Yeah.
bring that up.
Right. Who's that to?
I kept my mouth shut.
No, I can see it, and I was
I
really.
can see.
And
But I knew what.
Can I
but
just
knew
say
that was what he
something?
was doing.
And I was stimming, but I didn't mash up. It was like this. No.
was actually
I swear
like that.
to God.
But you was
actually
no,
was. I didn't look at it.
everything. It was nice.
So I knew I was going to.
But I knew. I knew.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
literally.
yeah.
It was
knew.
actually like that when she had
Yeah.
it.
Please, yeah. This is what you.
Gosh,
This is.
can't
This is. I was going to say
No
this is
decorum.
ableism, but
So-
people take it too seriously.
You're welcome. You're
Question
welcome.
though, how does time blindness show up? Because I think there is that thing, and I think that maybe that's what makes people not want to accept that it's a real thing, because there's just
Someone in the chat said
irresponsible adults
got watches.
using it. But I feel because you know when we were talking about it earlier,
How are you?
About it earlier.
This is so. Look, remind me to. When are you going to remind me to look at my watch? I don't have one. When are you going to remind me to look at my phone? You have to understand the function is not. Also, I'm autistic, so I have monotropic thinking, and a lot of people that are ADHD, they also are hyper focused on. So if we're hyper focused on one thing,
yeah,
and there's no one there to remind us to, oh, you got to check this, check that. Like, our brain is zeroed in on that. We can't change that. That's literally the way our brain processes information. It's at a cognitive level.
yeah.
So my watch has nothing to do with it. Like, do you know how many times I've started a diet and then I'm starting again the next day because I've forgotten that I was on a diet? Like, it just doesn't, it is what it is.
To be fair, that's happened to me when I was fasting. I ate. I was like, oh crap. I'm sorry, Jesus. But how do you see that in a child? Because we were talking before the show started. We're talking about this, and for me, I would just see that as a child. Being a child, like
What
kids don't care. They just live in their own world.
Nah, it's hard to explain.
Oh, the lateness.
It's hard to explain because unless you've lived it, it's really
Yeah,
hard
it's hard
to.
to explain.
It's
Do you know what?
really
Also
hard to
say that it's
explain.
I have a
about
young
the-
person in my family, and I won't say what gender, but they, the way I see it show up for them, it's just that they underestimate the amount of time it takes for them to get their stuff together. Do you know what I mean?
Fair.
And they underestimate, like, okay, if you need to get to this bus stop or this train station, that is a 10-minute walk. It's never going to change. That is a fine amount of time. Unless you run, it may
That's
be
gonna
quicker.
be that time, yeah.
It's a 10-minute walk, but they constantly underestimate.
And it works
the amount of
both ways,
time.
by the way. Sometimes I'm places early that I don't need to be there. Like, I'm just standing there because the concept of time is just something that my brain isn't computing in the way that everyone else's does.
See,
Yeah.
this side people don't know that it works
Yeah.
the other way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or like the fear of.
So, man,
like,
that's not you.
it's the intense feeling, like
The person that said it's lack of planning and lack of respect, like, are you qualified for this?
Depends who said it. You know,
said this?
I haven't heard in a while, but I still know some characters.
Yeah, the same.
but it's
it
been
may
like-
show up like that for you.
The thing is,
but
you're in an age where Google is at your fingertips and you can go through a wealth of studies on
Oh no, they
this.
just Google other annoying.
Like, you have a wealth of studies of this empirical evidence and you choosing to sit here and say that. Like, why would you do that to yourself?
bit rude, isn't it?
love the way you
It
say-
doesn't really matter
yeah.
if you've got ADHD. It's irrelevant.
You're talking about like a kid being a kid. Also remember as well, it's like the diagnoses are based on what is developmentally expected.
Okay.
So I might sorry, someone just came into my head. I won't talk about that, but I had a case that just came into my head, and they're asking me. I had the young child like, "Oh my gosh, you see, like they're so hyperactive." I was like, "They're one, like." They're one.
this is what-
But
yeah.
if they're doing this at this age,
Then
okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna like you. There are expectations based on a child's age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're
Yes.
gonna be able to.
And that's how. and
That's
that-
when you'll start to see it. Like a
and
child
that's when
going
the
to
light bulbs,
secondary
yeah.
school, you would
Yeah.
think you can put your bag together.
yeah, okay.
But
that
if
makes
I'm
sense.
asking a
Yeah.
6-year-old, no, they can't
Yeah.
really do like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's about that as well.
Because I always think of like how people diagnose kids, not in like a not in a shady way. I just mean it must be hard because kids are gonna be kids. Do you know what I mean? And so where's the line to be like, okay, I'm gonna look into this, or maybe this is something that I kind of need to investigate more as a
And
parent.
it might be a late bloomer as well. That's the thing. So you don't want to jump.
Yeah.
Kind of don't want to jump. You want to like be cautious, but don't want to jump to conclusions because then you don't want to like.
Self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Unnecessarily.
I would say that because in the state of like where we're at with like waiting times and stuff, even if you're curious, just go ahead with it because by the time they get there anyway,
Yeah.
3 things happen. They're either it's no longer a problem, they're the same, or they're worse.
Yeah.
So at least now you have the
more to be
option
stable.
by the time because if you get to my wait list after 3 years and I call you and you're like, actually it's not a problem, I call, I just ask the next person. Do you know what I mean? So in a way, the waits are awful, but for people, I guess in those circumstances, it might be better for you in that way.
Yeah.
Let's say so.
Can I just say, certain comments in the chat is a live demonstration of why I don't say that my son is autistic.
Let's see, 'cause that was a big thing for you to be saying out loud, and yeah.
And guys, when I say Google, there is empirical evidence, there are reports and there are studies. So don't just stop at Google, babes. Click onto the actual reports.
Use the links.
They're published.
Yeah.
You can see them. You can see all the work that went into the research. You can see the statistical data. So that way you can better understand.
They read the headlines.
Well, let's end on a good note. Yeah. Where?
We have big questions, man.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, it's true.
Are you okay?
Well,
sir?
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
I did.
well.
I'll
All right. So we're gonna get through some of the
should,
questions.
You used to be
should.
timeline to where you go next. That's what you used to do.
All right. So we got some questions. Some of them probably likely be answered already.
Yeah, quick
But,
fire.
Miraculous Mary says, how does the speaker tackle, if she has, the cultural aspect where some black parents are reluctant to accept potential labels for their child or agree to plans?
I don't really get that because when people are seeking out black mamas, obviously at that point they've already accepted that their child needs support, and they're proactively looking for support. So I've never been in a position where I've had to tackle that, but I've spoken to it's difficult because it's different because I've spoken to mums that say their parents, for example, won't accept it about their child, and obviously my go-to is, but what they have to say doesn't really matter. But it's your reality is your reality, and so just advocate for your child in the best way that you can, and don't take anything on. But 'cause also, with the older generation, sometimes you just have to nod. Okay, yes, uncle, yes, auntie,
Well, that's my favourite thing, bro.
and that's it. And don't internalize that. Don't you know?
Don't even engage.
So in that way, there's almost like a middle person between the disbelief and the actual child. So that's different to a mum not believing. And I don't think I've come across that. But I think if I were to ever encounter that, I'm very good with finding traits that I can relate back to them. Like a really obvious or evident video. There's lots of TikTok, and in the age of TikTok where everyone's brain is just attuned to like 30 seconds because you need instant gratification, I found, and a lot of the mums are also neurodivergent, I found so many 30-second videos that speak on specific traits that break things down. And I did this because the mums were complaining that their husbands weren't and I was like, that's because they're probably got ADHD and they ain't trying to pay attention. Because they're sending them all these different like studies, and I'm like, no,
They're not reading that. Yeah.
don't do that. Have these videos, and that's when you get the, oh, this is like me. Oh, that's when you get that kind of thing. So make it relatable, break it down for them, and make it so. And I say to them, pick a black child. If you see videos on neurodivergence, pick a black child. If you're going to show your parents, because for some reason they're like, oh,
That's clever.
yeah, that's it. Because some reason black parents are like, oh, this ain't our thing.
This is a white problem.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think? Sorry, I know it's a bit off topic, but like, have you ever seen in a film or TV show, I can't think of one at the moment, where someone from this group has been represented? I can see white, but not black. I can't think of one example. I mean, I might not.
Oh wait, sorry. Say
talking
that
about
again?
black?
Like someone who has a character that has autism
There isn't.
or
So
That's
Down
black.
syndrome.
yeah, there
in
isn't.
a
So I
TV
did.
show or-
I do lectures at unis, right? And one of the things that kind of gets like a big is I'm like, I asked everyone to imagine along with me. I'm like, you're riding along, and then a spaceship kind of stops you, and you get beamed up, and there's a whole bunch of aliens, and they want to know what's autism, and you're like, oh, let's consult the all-knowing, omniscient, whatever that is, Google, right? And so you Google it, and then I show them the next slide. I'm like, this is what comes up, and it's all the characters from all the different autistic, representing autism in different, media shows, and they're all white boys. They're all white boys. There's like maybe one white girl, and I'm like, this is what you'll be using to explain to aliens what autism is.
Yeah.
There is zero representation for us. Especially no main characters, but I don't even know if any side characters, to be fair, that where they explicitly say this is autism and this person is having challenges because of their autism or any kind of neurodivergence. So it literally, I've done the I looked for it, and it just didn't exist in terms of mainstream media.
That's not true, because I love sitcoms and I can't think of any that I've watched that actually, that
No,
even
the thing
traits
is, oh my god,
Sheldon.
the recent, oh my god,
Abbott.
no,
Abbott. Gregory does, and they make reference to it.
it was the other one. Oh my, what is the name of this? Mara Brock Akil's.
Girlfriends? No, not girlfriends.
No, not girlfriends. The recent
one.
Oh, but that's gonna.
Love is.
annoying. No, it's not. It's not. That's that's
yeah,
gonna be
in Abbott Elementary. I don't know if
Yeah.
you watched Abbott
he
Elementary.
I've not. I wanted to. I just can't find where it's streaming. I don't know.
Disney.
Disney, yeah, Disney.
Yeah.
But they do make reference to
Yeah,
Gregory.
you're right,
he does.
actually.
He's I don't know.
Autistic
Yeah, I think
or
it's
OD.
something. Or
That's it,
ADHD
forever.
something.
Forever.
Oh yes. Oh,
The main
yes.
character. That's the first
Who
time.
makes Abbott Elementary? Who's
Quinta Brunson.
Quinton Bronson.
Yeah, Quinta. Yeah, she's black. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's why you're seeing black representation.
Yeah.
And also in Forever.
It's not super obvious, but yeah. Sorry.
No, Forever was proper made.
Yes.
I watched Forever.
No,
You know, yeah, because he did
Remember
basketball.
how his emotions and stuff.
Yeah.
And they proper spoke to it. That was
Okay, cool.
That's the way I've actually seen it first, where they've actually
Okay, cool.
You have whole main characters for these shows, and they're never black.
And then that's the thing.
Okay, cool. Sorry. Thanks for that, guys.
Next one.
Next question.
Focus
Alright,
on
so-
what you're doing, Brent.
Izzy Bambino says, could we ask Marsha what does discipline look like when raising a neurodivergent child, and are there additional
considerations? The one that pops out at me the most is PDA, which is pathological demand avoidance. And that is when your child's nervous system is just hypervigilant to anything that is perceived as demand. So that could look like you saying, can you move your bag into the corner where I've told you to, and them just absolutely losing it. And that's because their brain is in fight or flight because you've placed a demand on them. It's not their fault. Their brain is constantly looking for risk. If you ask them to do the washing up, and it looks like you asking them to do things and they do the exact opposite, or they refuse to do it, or even if it's something they wanted to do, they're not going to do it. Obviously it's quite consistent. I know there's like, everyone jokes, oh, I wanted to do the washing up and then you told me to do it, and now I don't want to do it. It's similar to that, but it's obviously again at a diagnosable level. But PDA doesn't really have a separate diagnosis like that, but it's a profile of autism.
Okay.
And so for me, for my middle child, who is very much like me, this is the one where you have to learn as a parent to make sure your nervous system is fully regulated before you engage in anything. Because I know for like ADHD children in particular, there is a lot more negativity towards them in life than their neurodivergent counterparts. And I know that my voice is going to become her inner voice to some extent, in the same way that my mum's is my inner voice. I also try and teach her to ensure that she has her own inner voice that she can, trust. But I don't want it to be negative. So it's not discipline. Discipline doesn't look... And for most neurodivergent people, traditional discipline and sanctions and punitive measures, it's not effective. In general, to be honest, it's not effective. Sanctions long term they're not good. But for my children who also are highly sensitive, she also has rejection sensitivity dysphoria. I have to be very calm and clear and not get drawn out, because she will try. She will try, and she's very intelligent as well. So like, if I've said something and I'm now telling her to do something contradictory, she's like, okay, but I'd like to, but remember that time that you actually said. She'll be calm with it as well. I'm like, boy, you don't even know how lucky you are to be brought up by me, because if that was my mum, that would have been next story. Actually, I say that, but my mum never hit us. She just gave me a look and I knew. But I give my child the look, and she gives me the look back.
Oh,
yeah. So, and this is the thing. Like, culturally, when I'm at my mum's house or any of my aunts, and she's getting on bad and she's doing things that she's not supposed to be doing, and I'm like, you need to calm it down, and she just has back chat. Outwardly, I won't respond, and that's because I'm not trying to reinforce the behavior, and I'm also because what it is it's wanting attention, whether it's negative social attention or positive social attention. It serves the same purpose. There's a function behind her behavior. And I've recognized what she's trying to do. She's trying to get a rise out of me, because that feeds her. It's also, ADHD people start arguments. It's something to do with the dopamine level and trying to get a fix or whatever. And so I don't allow her to rise me. But to my family, that looks like me just allowing her to
get away with anything.
To talk to me like I'm an idiot, and then but I literally block it out. I'm trying to extinguish the behavior effectively. Because otherwise she can control you with that behavior. You reinforce to her that this equals a reaction. The way I do things works, but obviously you don't see that long term. My mum just sees the part where she's badding me up, and I'm just and then my mum's like, are you an idiot? Today I am.
How'd you get it from your mum and your daughter? Can everyone be quiet, please?
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
All right, next question.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, we can't go through all of these though.
Quick fire, innit?
Okay. How can you ask for an assessment as an adult?
Yeah, you just go to your GP and ask for an assessment, a referral. You can also I don't know if they're still doing it. They've closed it. But is it right to choose?
Right to choose
pathway. That kind of fast tracks it.
But it's getting nice. So right
you
to
can
choose.
get.
Sorry.
No,
because we're taking too long on the NHS essentially to do all of this. They private companies are basically offering to do ADHD and autism assessments for children and adults, but the NHS kind of
refers.
They're paying for it.
You can also pay for it. It's been a while since I've checked, but I think like for autism, it's like averaging around just under $2,000 for an autism assessment, and then like for ADHD, it's like 1.5 or something like that.
Right.
What?
Wait. You're looking at me like I'm yes, that's how much I charge.
No, I mean, if you're making money, good.
But no, go to the right to choose, but do it quickly, because it's getting more
Yeah.
known. So like
Yeah,
the waiting list is now getting long for that. Whereas
Oh,
before it was like, okay, 3 months you get done, and now it's
Yeah.
like 6. And
Yeah.
yeah, so just be quick.
You can do the same for children as well.
Yeah.
All right. Next question from Ebony. She says, can you ask her about housing ACEs affect her, please? How housing ACEs affect her? Very important in this conversation.
What's the ACE?
Adverse childhood experiences.
Oh, I always housing adverse childhood experiences, which are
So things like, so maybe like unstable housing or
Okay.
unsuitable housing.
but affect me.
Yeah.
Affect me?
Yeah.
I had a very stable household. I don't know.
Okay. How does ACEs affect her in navigating day-to-day life with autism?
I don't have any ACE.
Or maybe, I guess, maybe anyone that you've come across.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry.
Literal.
Yeah, literally. Do you know? Yeah, this is a harsh topic. Yeah, yeah. It just looks like again an amalgamation of stressors and traumas, all in one because the stress is ongoing because there's been trauma from childhood because of the ACEs, and then the trauma of probably not being supported effectively for the neurodivergence, and then being an adult with significant mental health issues is like re-traumatizing because Black people and Black women in particular, and then disabled people don't really get the support they need as far as healthcare support. And so when you identify with all of those identities, the healthcare support is a lot worse for you statistically. So you're not really supported. There's no nice way to wrap this up. That's why a lot of the work that we do is suicide prevention, basically. It's very difficult to navigate life coming from that, to be fair, without being too graphic about things. But yeah, a lot of the mums struggle. Yeah, they do, because they're also now raising a child who's neurodivergent, being failed in the same ways systemically, and they are being triggered because their trauma's not healed, so they're also being re-traumatized through that as well. So yeah, it's not a good look. That's why we need to help these mums.
Yeah. Black Rob says, how does she overcome some of these things in a work environment where employers only care about output?
I stopped working in offices. After that first office job, I was like, nah, I can't do this. This is the worst thing ever. It was hellish. But I recognized that for me. I was like, I can't do it like this. And then I became a consultant because that was like, I have control over that.
Yeah.
And then I did Black Ten Mamas, and I have ultimate control over that. So, because largely, that's why neurodiversity training exists, because largely work environments are not suitable for us as people. What was the original question? Sorry.
Navigating in the workplace.
Yeah.
You said you.
How do you overcome some?
Okay, how do I overcome some of these? Yeah, literally, I stopped working in there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't get, because there was no way out of the level of stress and overwhelm that it caused me, other than just completely disengaging from that environment.
Yeah.
Moving
It's different I would find that it's difficult in the corporate world.
Absolutely.
Maybe you just need to occupational health.
Yeah.
If there's someone that still needs to be in that environment for whatever money or whatever. Yeah, occupational health. Probably.
All right, next question. Tem Talks With says, how is the work funded? Does government support advocacy, or are you relying on the 8K parents' community contributions?
Yeah. So I addressed this one before. It was Tem Talks.
Yeah.
But we struggle to get funding because we have the word Black in our name, Black Ten Mamas. This has been the case throughout our entire existence, including the Charity Commission not wanting to make us a charity because they said we're too exclusive, even though we made it clear to them that we don't exclude people, we just do things in a culturally sensitive and insightful way and create safe spaces for Blacks and mums. And this means that we are out of the running for much of the funding that's going for charities, because we are not a true charity. We are just a CIC with charitable objectives. I apply for funding, it's not much, and it doesn't go far, especially considering the services we run, which you have to pay psychotherapists their money. And there are a lot of mums, and we can only support those that are the most vulnerable, because we can't afford to support them all, unfortunately. And we have a GoFundMe.
So what is there like something on your website where people can do like a direct debit?
There will be at some point. We're working with they're amazing actually. These web designers, but they just take very long. They just take very long. But yeah, there will be. I think your best bet.
Time is subjective. Get me.
What's that? Sorry.
Time is subjective, isn't it?
Mm.
It'll take long. What does that mean, really?
Sure. But at this point in time, I'm on this side. Sorry.
Don't look at him. He's trying to be funny. Don't look at him.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is that why you ain't giving my photos yet?
I am.
Next question.
Oh.
Easy said, with the pattern of shared traits between parents and child, is there any suggestions of genetic factors or is it environmental?
No, it's genetic. It's genetic. It's genetic. I know. This is a tricky conversation, but yeah, it's a neurological. Are we talking about autism in specific?
Yeah.
Neurological, developmental disability, and it is genetic.
Can I ask a question? And I hope it doesn't come across any sort of way, right? Do you feel like people who have autism and stuff, should be mindful about who they procreate with?
I do think about that.
Okay.
I'm like, because I've obviously had 3 children who are autistic, right? I don't think that's for me to say, by the way. I wouldn't want to. I don't think they should. That's my. Sorry, I realised I wasn't answering the question because I was deep in thought. Yeah, no. And it kind of came up the other day with these 2 people that I think they had sickle cell. And I think they had, maybe she was pregnant and she chose to abort.
Yes.
And there was so much talk in the comments about this. I don't think that's for me to say. I think people should be able to make those, because then it gets into eugenics and it gets into who's deciding who can have. Like, that's a really scary route to go down. Like, do you want to go as Black people? Are you sure you want to go down that route? So yeah, it's not for me to say.
Have they identified the genes that cause a proclivity to be autistic? Is there much study on this?
There is. Yeah. I think there needs to be more study on it. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think they can do more work on that.
All right.
Final question from Miri, who says, how much work, if any, do you engage in with the dads or husbands? Is there a part of the efforts that center around support systems?
Not as much as I'd like, honestly. And actually, I think if we can get more funding, we'd do a lot more work with the dads. There is another group that already does with dads that I'm looking to partner with. I just want to do it in the right way. I want it to be a genuine safe space for men. Instinctively, I know how to create that for Black women, but I don't have the experience to create that for a Black father of a disabled child. And so I would the person that does the other groups is a woman, and I'm like, I need for men to kind of come forward and be like, look, I'll help you head this group for Black Sen fathers, and I will invest into you. I will make sure that we do that because I think it's so needed. That it really is.
Big up Ed and Tamia, because I think both of them basically made me aware of what you're doing. And Ed also put in the chat the GoFundMe, which we're going to put in the description as well. So guys, please, let's support, man. All we have is ourselves, man. So let us do what we can. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here, man.
I'm glad I actually found you, because I don't typically engage.
Yeah, no, please come to our groups, because we don't just do support groups. We're going to be going, what's that thing where you skydive indoors?
Come on.
We do lots of stuff as it's a sisterhood at the end of the day.
That's beautiful.
We went to the Made in 90s festival, and they gave us like a VIP boot section and everything. Yeah, we do stuff, man. We do stuff. Because I think you have to understand, this thing about mental health is, a lot of it is about us getting back to who we are. And I'm very big on making sure that I'm taking the mums out and we're doing things and we shake a leg and we have fun and we do the painting and we do that and we go to the museums and we do all the stuff. So please get involved. And then it's like, you don't have to explain what's going on with your son, because we already know what's going on with our children.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
good point.
That's so awesome.
Definitely
Love that.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
So you're signing up, yeah?
Christy.
You're signing up, yeah?
There's no pressure.
You're signing up, yeah?
There's
Why
no
he's put me on the
pressure.
spot? Thank you.
100%.
I don't know why he's doing that. But, okay.
This is Brent.
This is crazy.
But everyone, regardless, should support.
100%.
Yeah.
Please. Brent, so can you put the thingy? IG is Black Sen Mamas _ UK. Black SEN Mamas with an S _UK. Yeah, and the website is there. You're gonna find all the information on that Instagram as well, man. So please, let's support, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me. You
We've
guys have
learned
been
so much.
amazing.
Thank you.
Honestly.
All right, Brent, got last headline.
Okay.